Running from the Reaper, Death on Me, the Dex Osama story. This trap story starts around the year 2012. But before I get started, let me tell you a little backstory on Dex Osama. Dex Osama was brought up on a street by the name of Dexter on the west side of Detroit. He later took the abbreviation from Dexter and formed a rap name by the name of Dex Osama. Growing up in poverty and street life, he looked up to his uncles, Chico and Ronnie, who were real respected gangbangers and hustlers in Detroit. In 2009, tragic struck Osama when his uncle Chico was murdered. And then again in 2012 when his other uncle, Ronnie, was murdered. Both were shot in cold blood. That changed Osama's life forever. That's when Osama became the most feared man in the west side of Detroit. Around that time, Osama began to take rap serious. After Dex dropped the song titled Clean Up Man, which was a remake, he began to get noticed nationwide. Philly rap legend by the name of Meek Mill had a show in Detroit, an opportunity knocked for Dex. After the show, his manager caught up with Meek in the hotel that he was staying in and asked him to take a listen to Dex's music. Meek agreed to listen, and Meek loved what he heard. After exchanging contact information, Dex's manager left and a couple weeks passed. Dex was still in the studio doing music and dropping songs, and that's when he came up with the best song he had to date, titled Death on Me. A couple days after he dropped it on YouTube, Meek Mill reached out. Around 4 in the morning one day, he called Dex's manager looking for Dex. His manager told him that he wasn't with Osama at the time, but he could get in contact with him the following morning. Meek Mill, excited about the new music he was hearing, he asked him could he get in touch with Dex right now. He hung up with Meek and called Dex. To his surprise, Dex answered to tell him he was only minutes up the street. He hopped in his car and pulled up to where he was located and called Meek Mill back. When Meek Mill answered the phone, he was quoting Dex Osama's song Death on Me line for line, which had Dex geeked. What's even more crazier is that his mama came up with the title to the song. The first line of the song was true when he said, "My mama told me that I got death on me." One night he called his mama, telling her that he was having bad dreams and that he was scared to death. In his dreams, he said he could see the Reaper chasing him and he had him tormented. At that moment, his mama told him that he had death on him. Queen, his mother's name, said if he didn't change his ways, that he would die. Dex, laughing off his mama comments, but really scared to death, hung up the phone. Meek and Dex hit the studio and Meek started inviting Dex out to events and things started to look like they may change for the best. In it too deep with plenty of dirt on his boots, had him in a dark place mentally. He started popping mileage trying to escape from reality and trying to escape from the demons that were chasing him. His mother kept expressing to her pastor that her son was being chased by demons and that the nightmares that Dex were having were seeming real. And not to mention, a couple nights before she told the pastor about his problems, he had passed out at a stoplight overdosing, which caused him to need medical attention to be brought back to life. In that brief moment, he said he saw the face of the Reaper and that he felt like the Reaper was coming to get him soon. His mother preacher agreed to talk to Dex, and he said during the convo, Dex had tears in his eyes. He said that Dex told him that he wanted to give his life to Christ, but at the moment he wasn't ready. But only 4 days later, After Dex met with the preacher, he unfortunately was gunned down at the Crazy Horse, a strip club in Detroit where his girl was working at the time. That night, Dex went in to party since the party thrower was cool with him and he wanted to show him some love. Halfway through the night, an altercation occurred over Dex's girl. He felt like it was a group of goons that he knew were trying to disrespect him because they knew his girl was in there dancing and they were trying to handle her in the wrong way. Dex, outraged at the situation, poured champagne over his girl and let off a shot inside the club, which led everyone to leave in a panic. After Dex exited the club, he went to the front and let off another shot, and seconds later, the guy who was throwing the party came out angry, asking Dex why did he mess up his party, which led to an argument between both sides. Midway through the argument, one of the guy's friends reached over his shoulder, shooting Dex in the chest. Dex began to flee, also shooting back in defense. He made it to his car and was able to drive himself to a service station down the street. When he arrived, he asked the cashier to call for help. The last words the store worker said he heard Dex say was, he didn't want to die. But unfortunately, the Reaper had caught up with him. Pronounced dead at the hospital minutes later, 21-year-old Dex Osama, born Byron Cox, had passed away. His family and friends were devastated. He always felt like death was on him in his last years of living. The pastor said he had a death angel on him and that he still regrets he wasn't more aggressive on getting Dex to give his life to God. Westside Detroit most talented rapper and most fierce stepper is still missed to this day 8 years later. R.P. Dex Osama, a true Detroit legend.